we're going to be reading his second vision. It's my Bible has this entitled "The Horns and the Smiths," but not like last name Smiths or first name Smith. I have a friend whose first name is Smith. So anyway, today, verses 18 to 21. And I looked up and saw four horns. And I asked the angel who talked with me, "What are these?" And he answered me, "These are the horns that have scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem." And then the Lord showed me four blacksmiths. And I said, "What are they coming to do?" He answered, "These are the horns that scattered Judah, so that no head could be raised. But they have come to terrify them, to strike down the horns of the nations, and lift up the horns against Judah, to scatter its people. Okay. So this is an odd vision. But that's something you see in the Bible. Very few visions in the Bible, in many ways, are like parables where they don't always make sense at first. Think about Revelation. Revelation is nothing but visions. And then you're like, I don't know what that means. And so some of it makes sense to the original audience more than it makes sense to us. So today's second vision is a shorter vision. Something interesting, just for our understanding, if you look in some Bibles, the online Bible that I use for a lot of my research for our devotionals are rooted. Is a tool called the Net Bible. It's a really neat tool, NET Bible. I think it's netbible.org, I believe. New English Translation, I believe is what it stands for. I really like that website for a couple of reasons. One is, in my opinion, it has most user-friendly um, tool for Greek and Hebrew. It really, remember yesterday I mentioned, well, the Hebrew here says this. I got that from the NET Bible. It's just really a really useful tool that I found of biblical interpretation. And the other thing I like about it is I really like the notes. It just has really solid and really useful notes for interpreting scripture. So I would encourage, if you're looking for a good online resource to use, I would really recommend to the NET Bible, Net Bible. It's a really good resource. But anyway, when I was reading today, getting ready for Rooted, it made an interesting point that this is verse 18 of chapter 1. But if you look in the notes of the NET Bible, it'll say that actually in the Hebrew, this begins chapter 2. So just an interesting note, nothing really hugely significant. Verses and chapters were more modern additions to the text. It was more of a medieval thing, used to study and to understand scripture, more of a studying thing than a reading thing. So the Bible did not, Jesus didn't say, "Okay, guys, this is chapter 2 of Matthew. You're paying attention. This is the second chapter in your book." No, it wasn't really like that. The Old Testament was scrolls, particularly. The New Testament was letters and scrolls. So in the Hebrew, this was chapter 2 in some of their translations. I thought that was interesting. But in this we see another vision, and it says here that he saw horns, and he has this angel messenger who is interpreting or giving the visions, and he says these are the horns that have scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem. So in other words, these horns represent four powers, four enemies, if you will, that have scattered God's people. And that's interesting. But what's really interesting is it says verse 20 says, "Lord showed me four blacksmiths." Now, what are they coming to do? He said, "These are the horns that scattered Judah, so that no head could be raised. But these have come to terrify them, to strike down the horns of the nations, that lift up their horns against the land of Judah, to scatter its people." So it talks about blacksmiths, and we don't know. In that day, it, these horns, you think, could have been made by as iron would have been most likely the type of horns that these would have been, if you would. And they have a blacksmith to work with them. And blacksmithing is a specific skill that not just everyone has. You couldn't put me at a forge and expect me to know how to blacksmith. I've never done it before. It's something that you have to be trained in, and it's something that is specialized. Blacksmith is a trained profession in that day and in this day. So these horns represent the evil or the nations who have oppressed God's people, who have punished God's people, who have scattered God's people. But now we see blacksmiths coming to strike terror, it says, they're coming to terrify them, and to strike down the horns of the nation that lift up their horns against the land of Judah to scatter its people. So in other words, we see these blacksmiths coming to basically bring justice for God's people. You're going to see there's once again more symbolism. 4 blacksmiths, 4 horns. Yesterday, the 4 corners of the earth. These are symbolic of the whole earth. So it seems as though the people have been scattered all over by all the enemies. But then the 4 blacksmiths. In other words, God's power is great and God's power is mighty. And these horns that have worked against God's people will be made right, or will have justice brought to them. God's people may have been scattered, but justice will come for God's people. And I like the commentaries I was reading said that this is trying to tell us that God will bring justice. God will make things right in a way that it's not coming from us. Israel doesn't save itself. Judah does not free itself. When you look at Judah's story, Judah is taken into exile by their enemies, the Babylonians. But they are not freed by their own might. They did not throw off the chains of oppression themselves. They didn't overthrow Babylon. Persia did. Salvation came from outside of themselves. But God brought salvation through another people, through Persia, through Darius, through actually Cyrus, but then Darius was king at this point. Salvation doesn't come from within ourselves. It comes from God. And so that's an important thing for us to think about in our struggles and in the things in our life that don't seem right. We want to make things right, don't we? I want to fix things. I'm a fixer. I want to fix everything and make everything like it ought to be. That's what I want to do. I want, through my ability, through my might, through my power, Andy Stoddard wants to fix everything and make everything right and save everything. That's what I want. That's what I want to do. But we're told here that these horns scattered the people. But these blacksmiths, who are not the people, come to bring justice. We can't fix everything, y'all. We can't. I want to. I want to fix everything. But we can't. Our job is to not fix everything. Our job is to be faithful. And our job is to trust. To trust. To trust in one who's stronger than us and smarter than us and wiser than us and it was here before us and will be here after we're gone. Our job is not to fix it all. It's not. It's not our job, y'all. We serve a God who can fix it. We serve a God who can make it right. We serve a God who can restore it. Trust. These smiths bring justice for the people and restore what these horns have done. Salvation cometh from the Lord. Our job is not to fix it. Our job is to be faithful. And trust in God who will fix it and be faithful to where he's calling us to be. So that's a good lesson for me to learn. Who wants to fix everything? I just got to trust and be faithful. And God will take care of the rest. Thanks for being with us today as we finish chapter 1 of Zechariah. Monday, we'll pick up with with chapter 2. We'll read 2 through chapter 2, 1 through 5. So have a great weekend.